looks good. He'll be questionable tomorrow, so we're hoping for the best. But we'll see how it progresses. He was a full participant, and by my account, looks great. But I think we've got to make sure we check the boxes and see where he's at. It's all right just to see where he's at after his workout and as part of his ramp up and recovery.
On and on.
I'm done. Go ahead.
I know hamstrings, and he's talked to us about how tricky hamstrings can be, but since he's gone through 2 of them kind of recently, do you guys have like a better base of knowledge? Does that help at all or no?
I'm asking the wrong guy when it comes to the medical piece, but I think they're going to do what's right by him and try to make sure he's 100% ready to go. And there's no foolproof method to say something can't happen. It's just not the nature of sports. But it's thoroughly vetted, and he's done everything that they need him to do. So the progression is there. It's just, is there a comfort level? Obviously, conditioning piece has been met. So we'll see how he checks out this afternoon and hope he's available tomorrow.
How's Monte doing?
Monte's available. He went through practice. He was a full participant. Didn't seem to have any lingering effects, but so he looks good as far as I'm concerned.
We didn't get to ask about Koz's season high the other night, but I know he's just had more opportunities, had the ball in his hands more. Is there anything he's doing differently or any way you guys are using him differently this season?
Well, I mean, some of it is, without Brad, it's, he's stepped up a lot and, having to do a lot of things for us offensively and got going early the other night. So that's a big piece. And, when you see a guy get going, you want to keep the ball in his hands. You want to keep feeding him. And he came up big.
What's kind of next for him in his development or even something he can focus in on for the rest of this season?
Well, I just think a level of consistency, and that's not just him. That's his team and this group in general. Consistency on both ends of the floor. Not just making shots, but, how we're playing. I think it's the biggest piece.
What have you seen from Denny's improvement on defense this year compared to the last 2 years?
The biggest thing that stands out is he's doing a better job of not fouling. I know he got in foul trouble the other night, but in general, he's been more disciplined. Maybe that's just a better feel for who he's guarding, better understanding of game plan and personnel discipline, guys' strengths. That guys are really crafty at getting to the line, drawing fouls. And you see it, 𝗦𝗛𝗢𝗪, you've seen it in Jalen Brunson. Those guys are really good. He's done a better job in general of, not falling into some of those traps.
Where's DeLon Wright in his ramp up?
He's toward the end of it. I mean, obviously he's playing, but, there's been minute restrictions. And because, to Ava's point, the hamstrings are a little tricky, and they want to make sure he meets a certain threshold before adding, minutes to his availability.
Was that part of the reason to start Goodwin?
Yeah. And it was just I knew that we're going to need him late game. I tried to bank as many of those minutes for the second half.
That's a non-specific Wizards question. Everyone or every player is wearing the 6. Do you have any connection to Bill through your dad? And he was the first black coach at a time where it wasn't being named, and we look at the number of black coaches today. What do you think about when you see that number 6 and what he's meant and any personal recollection?
I don't really or never had a relationship with him. I had an opportunity to meet him on several occasions, all-star games and so forth. I think it's he held a special place for my dad. There's a reverence there, not only as a player, as a coach, as a trailblazer. I think a lot of times young players don't know the history of the game well enough, and some of that history gets lost. So I think it's great by the NBA to recognize him across the league. All 30 teams are, showing respect for not only the player, the man, but he's iconic in nature. What he did on the floor, what he stood for personally, and he did so in a very difficult time, for minorities in this country. And he didn't budge. I think he pushed back, probably bristled a lot of feathers, but sometimes that takes a little bit of push to get traction in certain areas.
What have you learned about DeLon, the player and the person, this half season that you've been with him?
Aside from what we see on the floor, or
yeah, just in general. Yeah.
He's a hooper, loves to play. I think he really has a good feel, great instincts. I don't know if that plays out a lot on the defensive end, but I think he just has a really good feel instinctually for the game, knows where to be, knows the right types of plays to make. he's going to do some things that you don't teach, and he can get away with it. So it's kind of nice to have a guy who's got a little feel, understands what he can get away with, knows his personnel well enough to maybe take some gambles, but often not, it pays off.
Live scrimmaging today, or mostly like a shoot around?
No, it was a little more than a shoot around. It was, if you want to call it live versus coaches. We have some pretty young guys out there who can mix it up a bit, but we're conscious of where we are in the season. Availability right now is very important. So, anytime you step on the floor, there's your exposure, there's risk, but try to minimize that risk as much as we can. Yes, he was.
When you play a team that's coming off of a back-to-back, I guess, do you try and change anything on your end, whether that's running more or anything like that?
No, I mean, it's, nothing schematically that would change. I mean, obviously we know they're going to play tonight, so this afternoon. We can play with some pace, but we don't want to do that, at the expense of our execution. So play our game. Obviously, it is what it is for them, but every team goes through it.
Do you like, or is there any benefit to you just being able to watch their game live today or anything like that?
So we always watch scout games, whether it's live or after the fact. So you get a look at how they use their rotation. If there's any indication on what they do, on the front end of a back-to-back, might give you insight as far as tomorrow. But I think their focus is obviously on the game today.
Not necessarily. I still feel like it's a work in progress. It's really difficult to play both sides. So I'm just mainly focused on defense right now. My offense is gonna come together, hopefully soon. But I'm just mainly focused on defense and just trying to establish myself on that side.
Speaking of defense, what can you say about the challenge ahead of you guys tomorrow?
Oh, definitely a challenge. They have like four good scorers on that team. 4 good scorers. So we know everybody's gonna have their work cut out for them. There's no resting on the defensive end tomorrow. They move the ball a lot. They move well off the ball. So I feel like we have to be tied in offensively and defensively.
Delon, as somebody who's known Kozz for as long as you have, getting to this team and kind of being in this locker room, how have you seen him grow or evolve or change since you kind of first got to know him?
Obviously, I've known him since college, so he's obviously matured a lot.
Yeah.
That says a lot. But he's just maturing offensively, defensively. He's more assertive, more aggressive, and he's playing at a high level right now. So it's fun to watch. Hopefully, he can continue it and just keep making strides.
It doesn't look necessarily, when you look at his stats or where he's taking his shots from, like he's doing so much different in his game. Is it just his success this year? Is it just kind of due to opportunity, or what have you seen?
Yeah, of course, opportunity. He has the ball a lot more in his hands. He's able to do more playmaking, get other guys involved, and also stay aggressive and looking for his shot. So, he just, he's doing a lot right now, so, it's good.
Where do you feel with the minutes restriction? Do you feel like, okay, you're getting confident in your body to be able to exceed that at some point soon?
Definitely. I feel like the last few games, I haven't even thought about my hamstring, making certain moves. I feel like, I'm getting closer to being able to, I think I'll be off my restriction soon, so I feel comfortable right now. If it had to end today, I'll be comfortable. So, as the doctors or the training staff, they feel more comfortable with me, ramping it up more. I'm just going to trust their game plan for me.
Obviously, you would have much rather been playing, but I guess when you were sidelined, was there anything that you learned that just helped kind of making this transition back, maybe easier or more effective?
I just, obviously when I was out, I just saw the things I brought to the team that was missing. So just being consistent, myself just being consistent in those type of roles, just being active, moving the ball, just making the little plays. I feel like that's just what I saw that we needed, and that's what I feel like I bring to this team every night. So just continue to do that.